Yeah, James will talk. Yeah, go ahead, James.
So a couple of years ago, we received a grant from the Adira Foundation, and this is something that Ron had wanted to do for a long time. Families would come to him after their journey with ALS and say, how can I help? How can I give back? I want to walk with others who are going through this. And we really didn't have a means for that. There was just too much going on, too many moving pieces and parts. And so finally, 2 years ago, we were able to start the volunteer program. And we brought 20 people through the training. And honestly, it became so much more than a volunteer program, simply people who are resources to help. But actually, we became a circle, kind of a little community of friends, really. And many of the people who are part of that group had recently lost a loved one to ALS and were tender and needed to be held and needed to grieve. And so we've been grieving together and healing. And then they've also been there for families who are at various stages of the experience. So it's been really wonderful to spend time with this group, get to know them. And in fact, this weekend out in Falmouth, we're having a volunteer retreat at the center. We're all going to get together and celebrate a little bit and give thanks for the gifts that they've given. So that's been fabulous. And thank you, Ron, for helping to make that happen. And Brenda also has been a big part of putting that program together. And, people were kind of like, gee whiz, we're doing all this, like we're learning all these ways of caring and showing up, these Zen practices and different ways of holding counsel and holding space and being with people. And they were like, we had no idea that this was going to be so thorough and complete. And it's really, the reason it has been that is because this is a quality of care that you kind of have to develop. It's a personal growth. There's a journey involved for us to be able to really be there and learn to be present and really to walk alongside people with an open heart and without an agenda and without carrying a bunch of our own baggage along the way. So to that end, we also provide weekly gatherings for different aspects of our community. We have mothers of ALS, we have men and women of ALS, we have caregiver to caregiver gatherings, and we do these in order to provide a forum and a counsel container, really a place where people can simply be together and share their stories and not giving advice or telling people what to do, but simply being heard and being accepted without judgment, to be able to genuinely present yourself with whatever's going on, whatever's on your heart, whatever challenges or struggles you're going through, and also to celebrate the wonderful victories and the beauty that happens along the way, and to look for moments of joy and stretch those out whenever we can.
James, can you talk to the speaker series that we do?
Yeah, and one of the things that we're doing now too, which is really outstanding, is monthly we bring in a speaker to provide inspiration to our community and to anyone in the world of ALS, or for that matter, anyone who's going through a challenging time, to come and listen to people like Roshi Joan Halifax, who is the head abbot of the Upaya Zen Center and a mentor and friend of Ron's. To bring in Dr. Jakovitz will be doing a talk. We've brought in various experts in the field of ALS. People in this room, Jeffrey Duvall has done talks for us, and Tom Daly and friends of ours who have a lot to bring on the heart and soul level to provide for the for the caregivers, for the families, for the community, to be able to really show up for this, to really walk with their friends and be of genuine service. And that's what it's all about. So the speaker series is something, and please check out our website to find out what's coming next, but we try to do these on a monthly basis.
I figured out long ago, sometimes the institution of health care gets in the way of good care. When Gordon and Betsy said yes to the fund, and that was a seed, and yet what am I creating here? And honestly, as time went on, it was because of people who I met, many out here who became my teachers, my mentors, my colleagues, my friends, that helped me remember what I already knew, which everyone in this room actually knows. We know how to do this work. We truly know how. It's in our bones, I believe. And to continue to do that, to continue to explore, to bring new ways to the world of healthcare, to bring trainings to our healthcare professionals. You know, what I learned, you know, all home agencies are not created equal. It's all about who's walking in the door. And I know there's some extraordinary people in this room right now who are walking in the door. Those are the people I want walking in my door in support of me and my family. So it's just a continuation of finding new ways of bringing good work to the world.
Do we have any questions? Would anyone like
Someone must have a question. Yes, Luke, straight back.
While Luke is getting the mic back there, I just want to highlight that each of you have on the table one of the Cultivating Compassion series cards that has the information about our speaker series and the gatherings. If you are a part of an organization and taking a stack of those back with you to a place of your work for other families, please make those available to people and take what you need.
I guess this question is addressed to Ron and anybody else who wants to comment on it. It strikes me in my brief journey with this disease, which is going on 3 years next month, that there is a proliferation, is that a word? There's a lot of different resources, different quality, differing ease of accessibility. Some range from highly structured, unpleasantly institutional, to those that bring with them the compassion and the love and the care that I sense in this group. I guess I will get to a question, not a speech. Is there an effort amongst the care providers? I think, for example, of Team Gleason Foundation. Think of the Les Turner Foundation. I think of Compassionate Care ALS that I'm just learning about. And I'm sure there are others that are not on the top of my mind at coordinating and seeking to make something bigger from the efforts of joining a few together. I'll just stop there. I hope I've been able to articulate a question in there somewhere. Thank you.
There's a space for everyone. You know, every once in a while we will get a referral. I talked to the director at Les Turner several weeks ago because I had a family in the Chicago area that needed additional support. There are many, many organizations out there. And my invitation to families, you can work with whomever you want. That said, I'm really not interested, and I'm just being honest here, I'm not interested in hearing from the organization about what it is this particular family wants or needs. I want to hear directly from the family. We spend a great deal of time fielding calls from maybe other organizations or physical therapists or occupational therapists saying that Mr. Jones needs this, this, and this. It turns out Mr. Jones really doesn't want this, this, or this. Sometimes what happens is we will get a call and Mr. Jones needs a particular item. Well, we've been in Mr. Jones' house and that item's not going to work there. So the value of actually being in the home, seeing what the home looks like, cultivating that relationship beyond just that ramp or that piece of equipment. You know, our model is uniquely different, and I can also say many organizations have attempted to knock off what we're doing. God bless them. I wish them well. But you must have the people in order to do, and the mission and maybe the vision to do what it is that we're doing. There's great groups out there, and I encourage people, work with whomever you want. But I've been doing this long enough to know there's not one aspect of the ALS experience that there's not something we can bring to an individual and family's table. Not one. Maybe it's a little bit. Oftentimes it's a great deal. So hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much for being here. I am so moved today. And I was wondering if the people who are local, a lot of the work that I do is connecting families. We get calls. I just had one the other week. And who do I talk to? Like, who are if you can raise your hand if you're local.
Well, I will tell you, Luke
where do
is
they
local.
go?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Luke is local,
Okay.
James is local, Brenda's local. The way this will work, I'm going to tell you how this works.
Okay.
All righty? You will inquire, take a card to the home office. You'll call the home office or send us an email. All right? If you have a particular family that you would like for us to meet. In that email, you just need to let us know that you have permission to introduce us to this family. Okay? We've got that contact after calling the main office, and we'll forward that to Luke. Luke will reach out to them to do intake. From there, it comes back to us to set up a virtual call or maybe an in-person call, depending on the circumstances. That's how that works. It's actually quite easy. There's a great deal that can be done virtually. I was amazed. And it just depends on the circumstances. In time, we'll have more individuals out here working as we build up. The more families we have, we'll have some senior care liaisons that go into the homes on a regular basis. Also, we're open to doing in-services for different hospice groups or like-minded organizations, just sharing what it is that we know about the work and just what our model is. And there's lots of resources we have there.
I'm Will Reller. And Ron, I wanted to ask you, would you stop in Missouri and visit my brother John and his wife Joyce? They are 76, and my brother John is retired, and he's got Parkinson's. Mm-hmm. And he goes out on the farm every day, and he falls. And his wife is worried to death, but she can't stop him. So they just need so much counsel about how to regulate their life. You know, he's losing his voice, so he doesn't have ALS, but a lot of the same symptoms. So how do you keep your package of care, compassionate care, only for ALS patients?
So one of my other dreams, and Lisa Genova can share this with you, is how do we create compassionate care America, where all neurologicals are welcome? Well, that takes a whole lot of resources, and it's not a dream I'm going to jump on in the moment, but that's who knows what's possible, right? Over the years, there are many neurologicals. PLS, which is like a pre-ALS, multi-systems atrophy, Parkinson's. We have many handfuls of non-ALS. I am happy to reach out to your brother, virtually, and have those conversations, or whatever that can look like, and we can certainly talk about it. Oftentimes, it's how an introduction is made as to whether or not we have the capacity, the time, the resources, and that's how we do that. Have I gotten calls before? We can't help you. Yes, because our resources are limited. But yeah, there's those exceptions, and you are an exception. I met Will many years ago. One of our families, a family Will was working with, Hani was his first name, Hani. Hani was from Egypt. And somehow I had met Hani. I don't know how, I can't remember. This is how many years? 17 years ago? 18 years ago? And that's how I met Will, and of course, Brenda. Okay? Question? Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering, with the Colorado connection now, did I hear a reference briefly with a relationship with Anschutz and some local?
Well,
here?
the main connection at the moment is with Dr. Foster. That's how we met. I was introduced to Dr. Foster through Dr. James Berry at the Healy Clinic, colleague of Dr. Shakovitz. And Brenda and I met with her some time ago. Luke has actually been up to the clinic with one of our families numerous times. It's just cultivating that relationship, whether or not we get to the point of having a release form like we do with MGH, for our families. You know, years and years ago, MGH would be referring many families my way, right? And I'd see an issue, I'd call MGH and let them know what was going on, and the response, well, Ron, we can't talk to you because of HIPAA. My response is, you referred them to me, for God's sakes, you know? There was a world before HIPAA. It was a much kinder, gentler world, I think. That said, since at the Healy Clinic, we have a release form with all of our in common families. And yeah, so our relationship, probably 25, 30% of our census is through them. So we're pretty close. We will cultivate that relationship closer and closer. They've already sent many families to us so far.
Ron, you're doing this, I guess, kickoff or introductory session here in Colorado. What's the biggest thing people here could do to help get this thing really off the ground in Colorado? Well,
there's two things. If you know people living with ALS or communities, you can let them know we exist. Secondly, if you know individuals who want to support a really fine organization, nonprofit organization, let them know that we exist. You know, we exist through grant writing, through events, fundraising, through our newsletters, through many, many, many of our families over the years. That's how we do what we do. And, you know, I'll walk into a home and folks, Ron, what can we do? What can we do for you? I said, look, I'm not here for that. Let's talk about that down the road. But if they insist, I said, you know, for the moment, just tell your friends if they want to contribute to the cause, you know, introduce them to CCALS. You know, because everybody wants to help the family, right? And that's another whole huge piece that people are confronted. Here's a family living with ALS. Everybody wants to help. Well, everybody wanted to help Gordon and made my life even more busy than it was because it was exhausting. Everyone wants to do something. And how do you get that organized? That's a huge piece that we're able to bring. We can share with you, this is how you can do this. Whether it's online, whether it's getting your best friend to help coordinate everybody that wants to do things, putting lists together, etc. That's a huge piece of what we're able to help people navigate. But, you know, thank you for that. It's just, if you know people that want to support good work, you know, you can do that. If you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, don't hesitate in reaching out. Questions, thoughts, or concerns. And sometimes people don't know what those questions even are. You know, it's like being on an island by themselves. I mean, people's worlds are turned upside down. And for us, it's just, you know, walking in with an open heart, bringing some calm guidance and awareness. You do not have to recreate the wheel. For me, it's always a continuous work in progress on how to be there and how to sustain ourselves. You know, the support that we offer our families, whether it's trauma support, psychosocial support, all of that. The same support we offer to our staff, our team. I don't know a lot of organizations that offer staff what it is that we offer staff. Now, all of my staff doesn't say yes to it, but many do. I mean, you know, if you think about, and those in the world of hospice know what I'm talking about, what we see day in and day out, it can really stretch you, you know? It can be really difficult. And how do we work with that? How do we hold that? Or learn to let it go? Because there's someone else to see. You know, deep inquiry is incredibly important. I have to be incredibly familiar with the reality of my own mortality to do this work. And if you want to know how we create better work in this world, that we are tending to people with end-of-life issues, is to do our own work around it, to become comfortable with it, to come to the realization is, yeah, one day I'm going to die. Doesn't mean it has to be soon. Again, that's where if I'm unable to do this, my own work, how do I best show up for the families that I'm serving? I say I can't. So if this doctor or this healthcare professional isn't willing to do that, doesn't mean they're bad people, doesn't mean they don't have a good heart. It's just subject matter. It's that fear. and that unwillingness to explore the reality of all of our lives, well, Sunday we get to go home, and what that might mean for us. That's a big piece of what I do. Spend a lot of my time with some of our families that want to navigate that terrain.
I would like to simply acknowledge this circle here today and all the staff, all the tech folks doing the sacred tech, thank you. And all the, brought the flowers, without having to solve anything, but to be just simply present together. I know personally, I've known Ron a long time, but I know there's hundreds and hundreds of people that you might call team or family that have supported Compassionate Care ALS for all these years. So there's like all these little legs holding up this dream of more compassion, more kindness, more gentleness, which really does go beyond ALS, but as was mentioned earlier, hopefully goes back into America as well. And I want to acknowledge this space. It's just a great place to be. And the Arapaho and the Cheyenne that were here before we were, and really include all of this. And I just feel a healing today being with you all, even if I don't know you. And I want to just say thank you. And may we do our best and have some fun along the way.
There are copies of Bitterness is Not an Option from Mariah Fenton Gladys. There's also the collaborative work of Ron's story that was written and put together with James and Ron, and it's out there. So take what you can use and enjoy what's there in your continued exploration. And on your table are cards. If you have a family or you would like CCALS to reach out to somebody, you can fill that out and then make sure you leave it on the welcoming table so that Luke or I get that. It's really lovely to have all you here. And thank you, Ron, for your devotion.
Yeah, this really does mean a lot to me. I would not be standing here if my friend Jeffrey wasn't here, Keith, Tom, who's not here, other men who've shown up here who I've sat with over the years, and who helped me remember what I already knew.